Just, all right, now let's move forward. Like
We're live
right
in
now,
15 seconds.
Don't breathe
yeah,
too hard.
let's,
Still
All
COVID
right.
out.
Okay,
yeah,
we are live. Go.
Don't
Welcome,
breathe
ladies
too
and
hard.
gentlemen, to the
all
Heroes
right,
Peak
hold on.
podcast. Today we're doing a live quick peek reaction to the momentous
Mm,
event that's occurring right now, not just in our state and country, but also globally. I will
yep.
be our host for today, as Chris is not available. I'm James, and along with me is my fellow co-host Mike. What's going on, Mike?
Man, I can't believe Trump lost. I'm so disappointed.
I know I owe you $100, by the way.
Yeah,
We'll talk about that off air, Venmo, PayPal, whatever. Also, Harris Peak, yours truly, would like to introduce you to Keith. Keith,
what up?
what's going on?
Oh, happy day.
Georgia's on my mind as well.
Georgia on my mind.
And we have the debut of one of our subscribers and fans and a great friend to the Harris Peak podcast, Mr. Kelly. What's going on, Kels?
What's going on, everyone? Like chiming in from Brooklyn, New York. Just letting everyone know what the
Brooklyn, New York, or
vibe
Brooklyn,
is.
Kansas? I can't tell. Show me
What's
more.
that?
I'm not so
You need
sure.
some
Brooklyn,
more?
Kansas, or Brooklyn, New York?
Brooklyn.
Yeah, Brooklyn, New York, and we're about to show you right now. So in Brooklyn, here we go. Get a little vibe.
Oh yeah, that's Brooklyn. That's Brooklyn. Yeah, Clayton Ave.
Houston Avenue,
Shout out Fort Greene.
Waverly. We are officially in Fort Greene, Brooklyn.
All right, a little bit subdued. Not much partying.
Huh?
Not much partying. So it looks a little bit subdued. Not like the way I
No,
see it
no,
on the
wait.
mainstream media.
Let's look at it. Wait, let's calm down and let's look. People out in the street. Basically, everyone's really kind of looking for a place to kind of sit down and kind of
That just
enjoy
looks
the
like
company of
that looks like a regular
other
day in
folks.
Brooklyn.
I
You know what
know.
it
I
is?
remember our
There's
current
my baby,
president mentioned
right?
how New York
Louisiana.
City was like a ghost town.
hmm
I see the misses. So let's just get to it. Speaking of our current president, who is golfing, as the announcement was made from all of the networks. I think Fox also called it as well that Joe Biden is our president elect with 273, I believe. That's the number, the magic number. Nevada and Pennsylvania both
Are
certified
those
their
at
numbers.
90% though, or above
Correct.
90 to 99%?
But mathematically, it's impossible for Trump to claim victory with the amount of votes that are already in.
Yeah, no, he's
They're going to
done.
eliminate from the playoffs.
It's a
Mathematically, they're eliminating
yeah,
from the playoffs.
it's a wrap. Like so, any numbers beyond now is a formality. Like
Correct. Now the bench is in, they're just running up the score.
it's how much you lost by now.
So let's talk about this. Like, I mean, I know some of us have been talking about this offline. We are waiting 3-4 days now for results. Where do you think the process, before we get into the nitty gritty of, where we go from here with Trump, Biden, next steps, let's just go back a little bit with the process that we went through. Obviously, we all know it's COVID. The option of mailing ballots became something that was huge for a lot of us who didn't feel like going in person to vote. I myself went in person and voted, which was a different experience on its own. But I believe a lot was revealed during this election cycle, partially because of COVID, partially because the political parties and how they attracted their voters. What do you think about the process right now? Let's start with Mike.
Let me unmute myself first. So when you're talking about the process, you mean how everything went down?
Correct. Voting, actually getting your decisions made.
Yeah, well, I've been saying this for a long, long time that the Electoral College needs to go first off. Like, it's so antiquated and useless, and we just need to go with a popular vote winner and be done with it. Because we could have called this election days ago, but now the Trump campaign people are trying to push that. They're going to try and coerce their Republican electors in the college to go the other way, because technically in the Constitution, the electors can vote whoever they want. There's
Yes.
no,
And it's happened before. I
Right.
checked. This happened before.
it's supposed to be a safeguard. It didn't work in 2016. So we're not supposed to, if the popular vote elects a madman, we don't, the electors are supposed to step in and say, no, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's
and
pretty
and
much
Mike,
my thought.
you mailed in your ballot, right?
I
You're
did,
a
yeah.
ballot?
So I'm registered in Indiana, so I mailed mine in there because there's no point in me, since I'm pretty much straight Dem, I don't like sending my vote to New York. It seemed to me kind of a waste, so I'd rather be in a more battleground state,
Battleground state.
fight for it. So
Gotcha.
Nice. Good
Yeah,
job.
that's a good. Yeah, no doubt. Express your vote. Go to
So
battle.
Keith, what about you in the process? How did you vote?
I mean, I voted day of. I voted in person.
Okay.
And it was fairly easy for me. Like it was definitely in and out. But that just let me know that way more people voted by mail and voted early than like even because I'm here in New York. So you would assume like that would still be populated. Like it was the middle of the day and I went and it was ghost town.
Wow.
It was me and like maybe 6 other people in there, and they were like literally already filling out their ballots. I was in and out in literally under 5 minutes.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
So that was cool. But it was at that moment that I realized, and I was hearing other people having the same experience. Even Chris, I think, mentioned that as well. He's not even in New York. It just like it was at that moment that I realized, like, oh, this race is definitely like anything that they say on election night. I'm just not listening.
Gotcha. Hey, Kels, how did you vote, Kels? I think we might have lost Kel, who's out in the street.
No, I'm right here.
How'd you vote, brother?
All right, so I gotta be honest. Like, District 20, which is where anyone who went to Brooklyn Tech, you know that's basically Brooklyn Tech's district. So I went to PS20, which is on Claremont. My voting process was very easy. As far as individuals out, I didn't have to wait in any long lines. Like literally, my voting process basically took maybe 10 minutes. As opposed to a lot of places and stuff. Very calm. But the Brooklyn area, is whether you have red or blue, like pretty much it's predominantly blue in our area and stuff. So everyone that was there watching the polls were people that I knew. A lot of old timers from the neighborhood, a lot of old timers that were there during the midterm election. They're not there now,
Mm-hmm.
So it also, you can see the neighborhood change too, based on the people who signed up, to be poll watchers and so forth, man. But for me, it was a smooth transition, just like everything,
I hear you. I think my experience was a little bit different because as you know, I'm in Jersey, which will lean blue, but in my particular county and town, it's probably 50-50, red, blue. So I was expecting to be some sort of a line on election day. I went in around 9:30, I believe, around 9 o'clock. And it was just myself walking into the large firehouse where I voted. And there was probably maybe 8 or 9 poll workers and just myself walking in. I got the ballots and I got to sit at looked like a large cafeteria style table and a little cardboard cutout. And I was waiting to see a machine or like the last couple of elections. It was just me and a little cutout section on a large cafeteria style table. And I had the pen and I filled in, the ballot. So I was like, this is a bit different. I looked around and as I was completing my my voting, one other person came in. And again, for a town of about 7,000 plus folks, I was shocked that it was only myself and one other person that was coming in to vote. So, and then as I was leaving, I asked one of the posters, "Hey, you expecting a large crowd at some point today?" They're like, Probably not. I think this is gonna be it for the rest of the day. So I thought that was interesting. And of course, hand sanitize myself as I was leaving. But so I think the process moving forward is I don't see us even with COVID, post COVID vaccinations, whatnot. I think this whole mail-in option for the American public is going to be a force moving forward. I think that the next set of primaries we're going to have, for the midterm elections in 2022, we're going to probably look at this whole mail-in ballot as a real option for voters as opposed to the old long lines of coming in and voting on election day. So
anything that leads to more people voting easily, each new one of those things more so signals the death of conservatism.
Yeah. There's no going back now.
You're gonna get more.
Wait, hold on. Can you repeat what you just said?
Like if more Americans, if more Americans vote, like if the idea that we can get more Americans to vote if we make voting easier, then that almost signals the death of conservatism.
Yeah.
The country isn't conservative.
Yeah, I'm still kind of disappointed that 70 million people still voted for Trump after 4 years.
All right.
And that's a conversation we need to have.
Perfect segue. Nope, that's exactly where I wanted to go next.
That is a great conversation.
Exactly what I wanted to go next. Let's go to now the next steps, because you're right, Mike. Despite the fact that it was easier to vote during COVID, you got the chance to mail in your votes, or even my wife's situation, she dropped her ballot the day of at the voting. You have to physically walk in to vote. That being said, we're still a very polarized country. It's about 50-50, 51-49, whatever the final numbers come in at the popular vote, where no matter who's going to win this election, there would be a large group of folks that would be unhappy. Now, what does that mean for our country now that we know that Joe Biden is the president-elect? What are your thoughts on the very first couple? I know his speech is scheduled tonight for 8 o'clock. It's 3 o'clock our time right now, Eastern Standard Time. What do you think, starting with Mike, that Joe Biden and his upcoming administration needs to really focus on, knowing that although he won the popular vote and the Electoral College, there's still close to 49% of folks that did not want him to become president?
Yeah, I didn't even know how you begin. Like, it's so polarized. Can it be fixed is my question. You know what I mean? It's gonna take a lot of work. It's not gonna happen overnight, that's for sure. So I guess we'll see what happens in this first year coming up, right, for him.
Do you think if it would help? Because I'm hearing rumors that Monday he might even announce first a COVID task force, probably Fauci will be on it, but his cabinet. Yeah. What if, like Obama and presidents before him, during these moments where it was a polarized climate, he brings in some Republican members in his cabinet?
It depends on who. Depends on who. If you're gonna bring in like Mitt Romney, people like that, yeah. But if you're bringing in, I mean, even look at there's no way Lindsey Graham gets in there and does anything productive, right?
No, he'd actually be a step backwards for Lindsey Graham.
Right. So it depends on who.
Mitt Romney or some moderate Republican senator,
and they do exist.
Sadly, which is not.
I feel like there may be one or two.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like
Condoleezza Rice, Colin Powell come to mind,
and Graham.
Who voted to impeach?
Mitt Romney did.
Mitt Romney, and it was somebody else too, wasn't it?
No, it was just
Mitt Romney. Mm-hmm. Susan Collins, she had.
What's that young Republican dude who was on tape talking about Trump? I don't know if was he one of the young Republican senators. I forget his name. This was like last week, and he was caught he was on I guess talking to his constituents on via Zoom or on the phone. And he said something, and he was talking about how the Republicans got duped by following Trump. But he's always been against Trump kindly, even though he didn't vote to impeach him.
You're not talking about Paul Ryan.
Well, I didn't think they got duped. I think they got everything that they actually wanted out of them. They just needed to feel, in my opinion, I think they just really needed to feel important when they really haven't.
Yeah, so Kels, that's a good point. I know we talked about it previously that most conservatives, despite how Trump goes out, they got the the Supreme Court in their favor. They have a lot of elected judges in their favor. The only thing they didn't get totally was the Affordable Health Care Act being abolished. So a lot of things, a lot of conservative, quote unquote.
No, and then quick chime in. Also, we don't realize if you're not like I said, generational African American or a person of color, like there was a certain rule that was literally abolished that literally goes all the way back to like the 1800s that they finally abolished as far as the rules and regulations on election and what are the qualifications to be able to vote was just like ruled out of office. Like now,
Speak on that. I've never heard that before. Speak on that real quick, if you could.
All right, so basically in the South, in Alabama, there was a ruling that was still on board and still set into law that a person had to abide by they had to be able to answer certain questions or to be able to basically put it like this. Imagine when you go to vote, you have your license and registration. But there was rules that were still set into law in certain countries or certain states in the South that would basically state that they would do rules as simple as, okay, if I rub a bar of soap, how many bubbles is in a complete bar of soap? There were rules like that that were set in place so that people of color could not fucking vote. I'm sorry, could not vote. I know we're on podcast.
Right, so mature audience.
Nevada called for Biden.
What happened?
Nevada finally woke up and called
yeah,
for Biden.
Biden got Nevada.
Finally.
Yeah.
Finally.
But there are things
that's interesting that really
I
didn't
just don't want us
exist
to get
in
comfortable.
2020, Kels. But again, this is supposed to be a quick peek, so I got one other major thing I want to get into is
Okay.
what do you guys believe is going to happen with this country within the next 4 years? Now that we finally figured out who our president's going to be, and we talked about what the process was and how it's going to affect us moving forward, and also some of the ideas that we think that Joe needs to tackle first. Let's take big picture now, the next 4 years. What do you guys
All right, let's go. We go person to person.
individually? Let's start with Kels, since Kels, you got a lot of things going on behind you. Let's start with you, buddy. You're on mute.
Here's my thing. I believe personally that if we don't push the envelope, and I'm talking people of color, if we don't push the envelope, which is something regardless of party, whether Republican or Democrat, if we don't push the envelope, the matters that Q got in trouble for, which he shouldn't have, he's not a politician, nor did he ever said he was. But he put agendas in front of Congress and people who can move the chain. I want those matters to be addressed because those are systematic matters that keeps us at a minimum, regardless of where we are. Now,
when you say us, you mean people of color, right?
What happened? Yeah.
Be specific.
And
You say us.
Being that there are 4 people of color on this podcast right now that are conversing, we are all in. Let's be honest. We are all in an upper echelon of the economy in some shape, form, or fashion. But when we look behind us, it's a void, and it's a void that no one's addressing. and that needs to be addressed.
All right. That sounds like
I'm about
that's a
putting the
leadership
pressure
thing, though,
on.
Kels. In my opinion, that's a leadership thing. Like we can't really look into the political government. I mean, we can because they have to hold them accountable. We voted them in.
Why not?
But
Have you looked at the
but
Senate and the Congress right now? Have you looked at how those numbers are changing? The Senate, as far as Democratic, as far as the blue, is getting bigger, and but also in the Congress, which should have been a landslide without a shadow of a doubt. And yes, the Congress will win and will be the majority Democratic. But have you not noticed how many of the red have taken over
I
the
have, I
Congress?
have, I have,
Yeah.
which was shocking
And
to me.
for me,
But
it's
it's
not.
also in progress. You have transgendered for a person. You have had a multitude of different things happen too. But let me
Yeah.
switch gears back to Keith real quick.
Yes.
I don't want to lose sight of what the big picture is going to be for
Okay.
all of us, right? So Keith, you heard what Kels had to say about particularly the agenda of people of color and where we've been disenfranchised with both parties, to be quite honest. But neither here nor there. We've got the president-elect. We've got 4 years to do some sort of action. What are you thinking? What are you hoping for? And what do you see? What are you forecasting?
I think we put too much. I think we put too much on a president to do something that's like
Yes.
the people's place to do. Number one, and number two, I hate that we do this thing right here. Like we put like 400 years of oppression on one person's 4-year term to change. Like it just doesn't make any sense.
No, what we need
Possible.
right now, like what I'd
I
like
want
to
to see policy.
yeah,
I
what
want to see.
exactly. Sorry, Keith, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I was going to just say the same thing with policy. Like in the first year, I'd really like to see some big police reform. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
like just give me some things that
Yeah.
you ain't gonna suddenly make people unracist.
Right.
Like
No.
that's not gonna happen. But what I want you to do is stop not recognizing it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you recognize that there's racism in policing, and you take steps of like this is why I've never beat anybody up about the crime bill. Like
Yeah.
I know people wasn't even black people. Nobody wasn't thinking about like, oh, you know what this is gonna mean. This is just you know what I'm saying. Like you might
Not
have
when it came out, not during the crack epidemic.
exactly like Cat was scrambling. I lived through that joint. Like Cat was scrambling to get stuff back on track. Like crackheads breaking into churches. Like it wasn't like that. Yo, that was really like Night of the Dead for a very long few years. Actually, that was a very long decade.
Yeah.
But like they were scrambling. The talk about like, oh, the crime bill and how it was racist didn't even happen until like 10 years later when you realize, oh, we locked up 15 million black people.
Yep. Exactly.
And not all of them were crack dealers or
Amen.
felonies.
And I'm sure that the system saw that coming.
Most of
The
them were
system
crack
saw that
dealers.
as a way to be able to use that to turn on minorities and people of color and poverty in and of itself. But I feel like the people who initially called for that bill and the people who sat down and wrote it was more so thinking like, oh, let's tackle this problem hard and blah, 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 blah. They didn't know like how each police municipality was going to actually handle it. And they didn't realize, oh, like there's racism in the whole policing system and there's racism in the justice system. And that has to be handled at the same time as addressing the crack joint. Nobody thought about that.
No.
You just wanted your car radio to stop getting stolen.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
They
Mike.
wanted to make it go away quick.
Yeah.
Is the problem.
But that being said, I just want to see policy that shows that like government understands like the psychology of what's going on and that they have to step in a formative way. Because if you put the policies in place now, the next generation, like you make steps towards like anti-racism.
Yeah. So Mike, going back to trying to loop ourselves back here.
Yeah.
I know Biden wasn't your guy during the primaries.
No.
He had a difference of opinion with your candidate, which is Bernie.
Right.
But he's going to be in the Oval Office now, right?
Exactly.
What do you think is going to happen in the next 4 years with his agenda, his policy? What do you see?
So
What do you forecast?
So what I appreciated during his campaign is that he was reaching out to more progressive people in the party as well, saying, look, I know you're there. We're going to try and get some stuff done. I don't see Medicare for all happening in Biden's term.
No.
None of that cushy stuff that we wanted from Bernie
Right.
didn't happen.
So, but what I'd like to see in the first year is what I was going to expand on Keith's point is some police reform, get those kids out of the cages,
Yep.
let the Latinos know we don't hate you. Let the Muslims know we don't hate you. You know,
Facts.
start getting people back together. So
and get our footing back on the world stage. Like I have international friends, and I've been being clowned for the last 4 years.
Yeah.
We need to get back into the Paris Accord. We need to get back into the Iran nuclear deal. So they stop making so you know what I mean, right?
Yeah.
So we get the situation under control.
Those are all great points.
We've literally had a 4-year reality TV show.
Right.
For real. And just to close this out real quick, Kels, the one thing that I'm hoping to see within the next 4 years is the same energy and focus we had on getting the current president elected. We need to start looking down the ballot at the state and city level. It's like there's only so much the top of the ticket can do that affects us. Like Kels, you had a great point about the vacuum that's behind us. And then Keith, you had great points about, certain types of us holding people accountable to do certain things. And Mike, affordable healthcare, police reform. Like, for example, the police reform issue, in my mind, it's not a federal issue.
Nope.
It starts with where you live, the DAs, and the justice system there.
The sheriff.
So I'm hoping
sheriffs you're electing.
we're all here focusing on getting Biden.
That federal
now you need to focus on your local areas.
Yeah.
But see, like the attachment to the federal money that the local policing of, or just the policing effort of every state is important, and the people's voice gotta come along with that bread. Like, look, if we're financing your fucking operation here, like shit gotta change.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's on you locally to change it, but like. And there's one little thing that I would love them to do, like, and this would have to be done federally and not like state to state. Like, I want them to create that bad cop database. Like, you can't just be let go in some other municipality and then for some infraction and then just go someplace else and become a cop.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the same thing with sex offenders and state by state.
Exactly. If you're a bad cop, like we all want cops to be successful. Like, no, I understand. We all understand how hard the job is and can be, but not if you're doing it wrong.
Right. Exactly.
All right, folks. Thank you for taking the time out with us. Kels, last word. We gotta go.
What?
Last word, real quick. We gotta go.
All right, being that I'm new faithfully on the podcast, all I'm saying is, what will it take for us to be viable and recognizable citizens here in a country that we have all put our best foot forward? We have children that are going to go out into this environment. The big question for me is, what will it take to be the best viable citizen?
Solid question. No answers at the moment. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your time on this wonderful Saturday. Mike, take us out.
All right. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Follow us on social media at Heroes Peak, YouTube, as well, and we will catch you next time.
Wow.